Have you ever tried to make the perfect mixed cocktail and it just bombed? Well, today we have Claire McClafferty, who is an amazing mixologist and bartender and author, who is going to share with you all about the Old Fashioned and these lineup of bitters that we have. My name is Meredith Rinkars. I'm a wedding and portrait photographer, and on this YouTube channel we help photographers provide a better experience for their clients and brides to have a more stress-free wedding day. So Claire, whiskey cocktails are always my favorite. So tell me a little bit about this drink.
So the Old Fashioned is one of the most versatile cocktails. It was invented somewhere in the 1800s. Yeah, and it's really kind of interesting because it started out as the Old-Fashioned whiskey cocktail. Well, it did not start out as the Old-Fashioned whiskey cocktail. It actually morphed into that. What it started out as is the whiskey cocktail. So in 1806, the first written definition of a cocktail was made, and it was a drink comprised of spirits, water, sugar, and bitters. Very simple, 4 ingredients. But if you notice, it excludes pretty much all cocktails with citrus. It excludes pretty much probably 40% of the cocktails that are out there now. But when cocktails started getting fancier, and in fact, an improvement on these cocktails was called an improved whiskey cocktail, and it might have a little bit of absinthe and some sort of fancy liqueur, something like that to make it a little bit more special. But apparently people got a little bit sick of that and started making what they called the Old-Fashioned whiskey cocktail, which was a return to the spirits, sugar, bitters, water formula. So we fancied it up a little bit with an orange peel, but the biggest changes in the Old Fashioned happened starting around the turn of the 20th century. People started adding a little bit of fruit, and then by Prohibition there were cherries and oranges, and then by the 30s it was the fruit salad kind of Old-Fashioned varietal, which there's nothing wrong with that. And for a lot of people that's their Old-Fashioned of choice. It's not mine though. But that makes the Old Fashioned an even more versatile cocktail because you can get the muddled fruit. You can add that in. But my favorite is just 2 ounces of whiskey, about a 1/4 ounce of syrup or a teaspoon of syrup, and some sort of bitters.
Okay.
And this is where the versatility comes in. You can use a brown sugar syrup, you can use a barrel-aged syrup, you can use a white sugar syrup. You can use any spirit to start. It doesn't have to be whiskey. And then we get to bitters. And bitters are highly concentrated herbal tinctures.
Okay.
So they're herbs that have been soaked in typically alcohol or glycerin to originally preserve their medicinal qualities, but now to be a highly concentrated flavoring.
Okay.
And you actually mentioned fixing your cocktails. Bitters are one of the best ways to do that. If a cocktail tastes too sweet, you can add a dash or 2 of bitters, and it suppresses your ability to taste the sweetness. However, it does not make your drink bitter.
Interesting. Okay.
Yeah. So what we've got here are some kind of really interesting selections for bitters. Angostura and Peychaud's are probably the 2 best known. They are both aromatic bitters, which means that they have a lot of cinnamon and clove, and they're kind of traditional and warm. We've got 2 citrus bitters. Regan's orange bitters are bartenders' favorites. Angostura orange bitters are very interesting because they're the first new bitters product from Angostura in several decades.
Oh, wow.
Then we've got 2 newer offerings here. And one is made with Virginia Distillery Company whiskey. It's actually a mulberry bitter that I bought last time I was visiting my parents. And then the other one is 1821's tart cherry and saffron bitters.
Which is what we have in our drink today.
Which is what we have in our drink. So,
wow.
if you'd like to take a little sip.
Let me try this out. Okay.
Moment of truth.
Oh my gosh. Okay. That is phenomenal. We are a whiskey drinking family in our house, and that is probably one of the best I think I've had. So props to you. And we will list all of these in the show notes and get some links for you guys to try them out. Now, is this something that you could make a batch of, or is this really something you want to do just one of?
Yeah, so the Old Fashioned is actually one of the easiest cocktails to batch.
Okay.
One of the weird things about batching art and science is that the flavor of bitters can get more intense over time. The flavor of bitters can intensify over time. I'm a writer, I promise. But it's very easy to do. You just basically scale up the recipe, dilute it a little bit, or add a little bit of ice when you put it in the fridge.
Okay.
And then as long as you store it in the freezer, you can keep it for about a month, believe it or not.
Oh, okay.
So if you dilute it, it's about 1/6 of a cup of water per drink. You can basically serve it immediately.
Wow, okay. So perfect again for a family function, maybe a wedding, although I would highly recommend you have Claire there or someone else to do that for you. If you have enjoyed this content, then definitely hit the playlist above and subscribe to our YouTube channel. We have new videos coming out every single week. And as always, if you have a comment or a question, please feel free to leave it at the bottom and we will get back to you and answer that soon. Thanks for watching.